Welcome to the session. I remember early in my recovery realizing that the friends I had around me, while they were good people, they lived a lifestyle that could easily lead me to slip. Going to bars constantly, drinking every weekend and during the week, sometimes smoking weed and entertaining ourselves. That's basically what filled our weeks. I decided that I needed to change my social circle to one which had people who were living lives closer to my values. Eventually, you'll come to these realizations on your own. Growing up, there was a saying that went, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. This could be helpful when finding new friends. We sometimes feel that making new friends means letting go of our old friends, our other friends, but that really isn't the case. You have a shared history, you have good memories with these friends, and loyalty is certainly hard to come by. But your recovery at this point in your life, at this season in your life, is a priority. So expanding your social circle prevents you from feeling as if you have limited options when it comes to rebooting. Sometimes, when recovering from your out of control sexual behavior, you might actually experience social anxiety. In fact, that's what happened to me. For many men, they medicate their social anxiety and fear of rejection with porn, sex, and masturbation. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Now, if you are in the situation where the prospect of making new friends seems challenging due to your social anxiety, that's absolutely fine. Over the years, I've helped hundreds of clients overcome their social anxiety and build new social circles. Now, bear in mind that I'm an introvert. And during my addiction, not only was I introverted, but I was completely isolated. And I found it very, very challenging to reach out to strangers. And over the years, I've taught men that one of the best ways to kill two or even three birds with one stone when it comes to reboot capital is to build up multiple areas of reboot capital simultaneously in a process I call reboot capital stacking. This is where groups and classes come in. Here's what I mean. It was actually a dance class which changed my life. I'm not a dancer, but during my reboots, an acquaintance invited me to a salsa class. And normally I'd never go to something like that on my own, but he invited me because he was nervous about going, so I went. Well, it turns out it wasn't a salsa class. It was a swing dance class, and my friend bailed on me. So I was stuck in this class for an hour with men and women learning how to dance swing. But by the end of the class, I had danced with a few girls as part of the learning process because we had to rotate partners. So guess what? I had interacted with more women in 1 hour than I had in the previous 2 years. And I also felt good because we had a really good instructor and I felt that I had learned something that day. So it felt really good to have some wins in my life, right? And finally, the music, the movements, and just that happy atmosphere released endorphins and created this sense of well-being within me. It was such a huge contrast to my life of living in front of a computer screen. So I started going back and eventually I became a regular. And when I started dating, I began to take dates there, including my current partner of over a decade, whose first date with me was a swing dance class. And I share this with you to emphasize that certain situations can speed up the development of reboot capital. So let's say you're dealing with social anxiety, and maybe you'd really like to get into a relationship, but you're not sure how to do so. And you also want to have an interesting life. Well, a dance class would build up the social and the physical aspect, give you something interesting in your life. Another example would be martial arts like boxing or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which would build up the physical, social, mental, and emotional aspects of your reboots. Because trust me on this, when you get choked out or you get punched in the face while training, you learn to deal with some very strong and sometimes unfamiliar emotions, but it builds your confidence. Another example would be taking on a career or a side job which involves face-to-face selling, which increases your social reboot capital, your mental reboot capital, and also helps when it comes to your financial life. Personally, I spent my summers while I was in college selling door to door. Now, I didn't really enjoy it for the first couple of summers. One of the main reasons why I did it was that it was going to help me pay my way through college because, well, I was busy viewing pornography and acting out during the semester, so I had to retake some classes, which is unfortunate to share, but that was the reality of my life. The main reason why I actually did that was I really wanted to build up my ability to communicate with people. I wanted to build up my ability to be social and to be verbally fluent. And I had struggled with this for so many years because of shame and guilt, which just kept me isolated from other people. In the next session, I'm going to share an important warning about developing the social and financial aspects of your life to a very high level. I truly believe that everybody who is participating in this program has the ability to completely transform these areas of their life. But at the same time, when you get that power, it also comes with a lot of responsibility. And there are some situations that are very unique to men who are recovering from an out of control sexual behavior when it comes to these areas of your reboot capital. I'll see you on the next session.